Good morning, year one. Now, this flipped classroom video is all about science, and it's going to be reminding you of some of the things we've learned from the autumn term on animals and showing you some of the new things that we are going to be learning about next half term. So let's get started. So here are some of the key questions that we are going to be asking you. So how are animals grouped? What are the key features of the animal groups? What is a carnivore? What is a herbivore and an omnivore? Carl Linnaeus. And how are simple keys used to sort animals? Now, some of those things you already should know. So let's go through and remind ourselves. So what you should already know. Animals can be split into different groups. So we have mammals, reptiles, birds, fish, and amphibians. So we learned all about those in the autumn. Can you remember way back to the autumn? Think about, let's have a look. What are the key features of mammals? What are the key features of mammals? Let's have a look. They have hair, they give birth to live babies, and they are warm-blooded. So we have a tiger, a polar bear, and a horse, and a human. So we are mammals. What about reptiles? What are the features of reptiles? Can you remember? They are cold-blooded, they lay eggs, they have scales, not fur, they have dry skin, and they have 4 legs or no legs, so like this snake. We have a crocodile. Remember, we learned all about the enormous crocodile. We have a snake and we have a tortoise. And remember, we had a visit from a snake and a tortoise. We were talking about reptiles. Then we have fish. So fish live underwater. They lay eggs and they have fins and scales. Now, amphibians. These are the ones that I think some of you got a bit mixed up on last time, but amphibians. So they're similar to reptiles, but amphibians live on land and in water. They have webbed feet. They are cold-blooded. They lay eggs. So that's quite similar to reptiles, but the difference is an amphibian has slimy, wet skin. So like a frog or a toad or a newt, they all swim in water, so their skin is wet. Whereas reptiles, their skin is dry. And the last one we have is birds. They have wings, most can fly, they lay eggs, and they have a beak. So do you remember we learned about those 5 groups and we learned about all the features. Now, the other thing that we learned about that you should already know are the diet of the animals. So we have here carnivores, and they are meat eaters. So we've got tigers and leopards and seals and polar bears. So they all eat meat. Then we have the herbivores, and we remembered by herbs being plants. Now these animals only eat plants. So we have a zebra, a koala, deer, a giraffe, an elephant, and a cow. So they eat grass or bushes or leaves. They all eat only plants. And then we have the omnivores. Now remember, omnivores means both. So they eat both. So a bear eats fish, which is meat, but it also eats berries, which is part of a plant. So it is both. And then we have animals like squirrels and skunks. So they eat nuts and fruit, but they also eat bugs and insects, which is also considered to be meat. So we have those 3 types of diets for the animals. So that's what we should already know. So you should already know that. So try and remember that. The new things that we are going to learn about next half term is we are going to learn about a significant scientist. And here we have Carl Linnaeus. Now, he was born on May 23rd, 1707. So over 300 years ago. And he was born in Sweden. Now, he is famous for creating the system to describe living things. So the things that we've learned about mammals and fish and amphibians and reptiles, he created that system. So that means that we're able to classify, look at animals and put them into groups based on their features. So we're going to learn about him. And we are going to do a biography on Carl Linnaeus. And we learned about biographies last half term when we were looking at Isambard Kingdom Brunel. So you will be able, once you've learned about Carl Linnaeus, to write a biography about him. And the next thing that we're going to be learning about next half term is our simple keys to classify animals. So this is a key. Ooh, it looks quite confusing. But if you follow the arrows and follow the questions, then you'll see what happens. So let's start here. Start with a cat. What group does it belong to? So we're using Carl Linnaeus's sorting system. So here we have start. Let's go down. We're thinking about a cat. Is it living? Is a cat living? Yes. So we follow the green arrow to yes. Is it a plant? No. So we follow the red arrow. No. Does it have a skeleton or a backbone? No. Does a cat have bones? Yes, it does. We follow the green arrow to yes. Is it warm-blooded? Now, the cat is a mammal, so it is warm-blooded. So we follow the yes. Does it have feathers? No. So we follow the no. Does it have fur, hair, quills, or whiskers? Yes. It's a mammal. So we followed the key to find out what group. So now let's do another one. Start with a frog. So we start here with a frog. Is it living? Yes. So we follow the green. Yes. Is it a plant? No. Does it have a skeleton or a backbone? Yes, it does. Is it warm-blooded? Is a frog warm-blooded? No, because we know that it needs to go in the sun to get warm. Does it have scales? Does a frog have scales? Now remember, a reptile has scales, and that means that its skin is dry. Is a frog's skin dry? No. Does it have moist skin? So moist means wet. Does it have? Yes. So it's an amphibian. And we know a frog is an amphibian. Let's start with a chair. Is it living? No. So it's a thing. So you can see how it works. So you can choose any animal that you want, and you can follow the key to see if you've ended up at the correct group of animal. So the things we're going to be looking at simple keys, we're going to be learning about a scientist, and we're going to be revisiting carnivores, herbivores, omnivores, and the different groups. So remember all of these. Try and think about the things that we learned about in the autumn term about all those animals. And then we're going to be building on that and building our knowledge on animals. Now, I hope you have a lovely half term, and remember, think about when you're out in nature, if you see an animal, think about the features it has. Is it a mammal? Is it a reptile? Is it an amphibian? If you have any pets at home, think about my fish. What kind of animal that? Which group would it fit in? Follow that simple key, okay? And look forward to all of our new learning after the half term. Bye.